gallery. I'd like to advise that it is council policy to record the proceedings of meetings of council on digital media to assist in the preparation of minutes and to ensure that a true and correct and accurate account of debate and discussion of meetings is available. The audio recording is authorised by the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulations 2015, and I open this meeting at 6:02. I'd also like to begin with acknowledgement of country. I begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we meet today, the Tomagina people, and to pay our respect to those that have passed before us, their history and their culture. Item 1, record of attendance. All councillors are here tonight. There are no apologies and no leave of absence previously approved. Item 2, confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting. 2.1, there is a recommendation before you councillors that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of the Waratah Wynyard Council held at Council Chambers, 21 Saunders Street, Wynyard on the Monday the 18th of March, a copy of which has been previously circulated to councillors prior to the meeting, be confirmed as a true and correct record. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
So moved.
Councillor Hyland, could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Bramage. Any corrections to the minutes are to be identified and agreed at this point prior to taking a vote to adopt the minutes. Are there any corrections or amendments or questions regarding the minutes that we are now considering? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Declarations of interest. On item 3, councillor and agenda item number, are there any councillors that have any declarations of interest? Any staff that have any declarations of interest? No. So moving on. Councillors' announcements and report. Announcements by the Mayor. Excuse me, 4.1, announcements by the Mayor. I have no announcements today. 4.2, the Mayor's communications. There is a recommendation before you, councillors. Could I have a mover for that motion?
So moved.
Councillor Roberts, could I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that.
Deputy Mayor Edwards. Councillor Roberts, do you wish to ask any questions? Are there any questions from the floor? Councillor Bramage.
Just a quick one, Mayor, if you can. The Transport Forum, how did that go?
It was actually very, very beneficial, and I think that even Councillor Edwards could possibly fill in some of the gaps if I leave any. There was great discussion about the types of transport that may be needed into the future, not just the metro type buses or the large kinetic buses. So they're looking at different ways that our population can be accommodated. It could even be on-demand coaches, EV vehicles, and especially vehicles that will accommodate wheelchairs, etc. So it was very, very worthwhile. Deputy Mayor Edwards, is there anything that you wish to add?
No, I think that just about covered it, but it was just having the speakers come and talk to us and open our eyes up to what the possibilities are out there.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Edwards. Are there any further comments? Councillor Roberts.
I just want to credit Wynyard Golf Club on their 100-year event. Yes,
it was an exceptionally good evening, and it was all about the history of the club, and it was thoroughly enjoyable to hear the stories that went way back into the 1950s. It was an excellent celebration of the Wynyard Golf Club. So the recommendation is that the council note the Mayor's communications. We have Councillor Roberts moved, Deputy Mayor Edwards seconded. Are there any further speakers? No more speakers. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Notification of council workshops. There is a recommendation before you, councillors, that council note the following workshops. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
So moved.
Councillor Johnson, a seconder, please. Councillor Raw.
Yes.
Are there any comments or questions about the information provided regarding this motion? Nothing has come to light, so I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. I do ask that you look at page 11, the Council of Professional Development, Local Government Learning and Development Framework, and you can see there that we have been through three learning packages, and it has been reported that Waratah Wynyard is very close to the top of all the councils who are undertaking that training, and the advocate has reported that as such. I think that we can be congratulated for undertaking these learning packages. Item 5, public questions and statements. 5.1, public questions taken on notice, nil received, public questions received in writing, public questions without notice and public statements without notice. Before I ask if there are any from the gallery, I'll read this statement. The Council encourages community participation in its meetings through the opportunity for public questions and statements. Consistent with Council's core values, councillors and staff strive to ensure all people are treated with respect and integrity. We expect our residents and ratepayers to apply similar standards in their dealings with Council. As Mayor, it is my responsibility to maintain the orderly conduct of council meetings and to determine whether a question or statement is out of order due to the use of offensive, objectionable or defamatory expressions. And I remind everyone, it should be noted, a maximum of 3 questions may be asked per person. Any parts to questions are considered questions, or questions to be asked before a response is provided. There is a time limit of 3 minutes per person to ask questions. Once a question is answered, there is to be no debate on that question. Public statements are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per person. There is to be no questions or discussions related to a statement. I ask members of the public to show proper consideration and courtesy in their comments. Mr. Hutchison, you have submitted 3 questions. If you would like to come forward, please. And if I could ask you to note, please, in question 2, you have specifically mentioned individuals. Could you please not identify those individuals in your questions? Thank you.
Can you please explain why not?
I'll explain that you are asking questions in relation to the competency of council staff or councillors, and it does identify those people, and you are making allegations. So again, I ask that you remove their names from your questions, please.
I don't believe I will be questioning the competency of any staff members.
There is no debate. I'm asking you to remove those names, please.
Well, you've made a statement that's incorrect.
You have 3 questions, Mr. Hutchison. If you would please go on with those questions. Thank you.
Okay. My first question is, in response to the incident on March 1st, 2023, which saw children in the care of council-run childcare services indecently assaulted inside the Waratah Wynyard childcare facility, can Council please provide a copy of the risk management protocol that the Waratah Wynyard Childcare Centre had in place in February 2023, outline if and what changes have been made to this protocol, and provide a copy to the public of the current risk management protocol Council now has in place?
Thank you. That's question 1. If you go on with question 2, please.
Thank you. The Advocate newspaper reported on April 10th, 2024, that the Department of Education, Children and Young People's Education and Care Unit has found that Council breached Section 165 of the Education and Care Services National Law Act 2010, which states it is an offence to inadequately supervise children and carries a penalty of up to $57,400. Can Council please explain to the public if it has been penalised for this breach, and if so, how much it was fined, as well as specifically outline what steps the general manager took following the incident, if any disciplinary actions were taken against the former Director of Community Engagement or the Manager of Children's Services, and what these actions were.
Thank you. If you could go on with your 3rd question, please.
It has been reported that the council-run Waratah Wynyard Childcare Centre had put strategies in place to reduce the risk of incidents of this nature from reoccurring during the investigation process. How many staff were supervising children at the centre on March 1st, 2023? Was that below minimum standards? What is the current minimum staff to children ratio now adhered to by the Waratah Wynyard Childcare Centre? What strategies have been put in place to reduce the risk of indecent assaults from reoccurring? Does the Mayor believe that these strategies are adequate, and can the Mayor please provide at least one reason for this belief?
Thank you for your questions, Mr. Hutchison, and they will not be answered this evening. I'm taking them on notice.
Is there any reason why you're taking all of the questions on notice?
Because that is a choice that I'm allowed to make as Mayor, and I believe that there is considerable information that you have asked for, and it will be each of those questions will be looked at separately, taken on notice, and will be responded to in due course. Thank you.
Okay. Just for the benefit of the public, I'm just going to read out the Advocate article for anyone that missed it on April the 10th. So it was by journalist Helen Kempton. A childcare facility was at the centre of a stranger danger assault case. A childcare facility at the centre of a stranger danger assault case was found in breach of its requirement to keep a proper watch over the 3 toddlers in its care the day they were indecently assaulted from outside their fence. The Department of Education's Education and Care Unit investigated the incident in March 2023 and confirmed the Waratah Wynyard Early Learning Centre had breached a condition it adequately supervised children. The investigation also found, however, that the centre had not breached a condition that it prevent children in its care from harm or risk, and deemed the centre had adequate fencing. On Tuesday, a 21-year-old Wynyard man who indecently assaulted 3 toddlers as they were outside playing at the centre was sentenced. The man, whose name was suppressed by the court, coaxed the 3- and 4-year-old children over to the fence of the Waratah Wynyard Early Learning Centre, put his hands down their pants and rubbed their bottoms. He also leaned into the fence to give them a kiss. The indecent assault lasted for about 6 minutes before the man was spotted by a childcare centre staff member and he moved along. Now, the media doesn't always get it right, but I haven't heard anything contrary to what was reported by the Advocate. So I cannot be guided if there are any incorrect reporting facts in there, and if Council won't answer any of the questions. But I would like to speak as an educator, as a trained educator, and as a father, and I understand that do you have any respect,
Mr.
Councillor
Hutchison,
Hyland?
Mr. Hutchison.
Well, he just laughs. He laughs at my statements, my
Mr.
questions.
Hutchison.
He has no respect, and I would like to bring to your attention, Mayor,
Mr. Hutchison.
the disrespect shown by Councillor Hyland in that moment, and that's not the first time he's done it. So I would like an apology there for what I see as an embarrassment to members of the public constituency you're supposed to represent, Councillor Hyland.
Thank you for your consideration of my role as Mayor. I ask that you continue with your statement, please.
As a trained educator and as a father, I would like to speak to parents in the room, to grandparents in the room, and to anyone that gives a damn. When you are put in charge of the care of children, and I know Councillor Raw has a well-established career in education, and other people work in care places in their professional life, the responsibility and the duty of care is paramount for those young people in the care of those individuals and those care providers. So I'm very, very upset that I have to take time out to remind this council that it has a duty of care if it's going to run facilities for the community and provide them, hopefully with the assurance that their children are in good hands and cared for by the people that are entrusted. And
Mr. Hutchison,
in this instance,
Mr. Hutchison,
council has failed.
Mr. Hutchison, I've given you 4 minutes, not 3. So could you please wind up your statement?
Well, I have to take 1 minute out to speak about the behaviour of one particular councillor. So
Please,
I will.
please do not argue with me. I've asked, would you please wind it up?
As far as I can tell, the fence down at the childcare centre has had no modifications to it, and I'll wait to the response to the questions that I've asked. But even though that wasn't identified as one of the breaches, surely council can get off its arse and do something about the facilities there that have led to the situation that occurred last year. Some simple barriers and some simple protective measures, blind Freddie can see it. So, Mr. General Manager, councillors, I hope you have a really robust discussion in your closed meeting tonight about what you can do, because this is a monumental failure of this council, and I would expect some serious action, because if my kids were of that age and in a childcare facility run by this council and that happened to them, God help them.
Thank you, Mr. Hutchison. Right, moving on to our planning authority. Our planning authority has opened at 6:19. 6.1, public questions without notice relating to planning matters, public statements relating to planning matters, none received. 6.3, front boundary fence located at 22 Hogg Street, Wynyard. There is a recommendation before you, councillors. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
So
Councillor Hyland.
Seconded.
Councillor Roberts. Councillor Hyland, would you like to open the debate, please?
yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. Yeah, it's basically a fence, boundary fence on the front of the property, meets all the requirements, and I don't see any issues with that at all.
Thank you. Are there any further speakers for the motion or against the motion, please? Councillor Roberts.
I was just debating whether I should even say anything. Look, it satisfies all criteria, and this is a pretty standard one for council, so you won't get much argument from us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. As there are no speakers against the motion, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Our planning authority has closed at 6:20. We go on to item 7, matters raised by councillors, responses to councillor questions taken on notice from the previous meeting, nil received. Councillor questions received in writing, nil, and councillor questions without notice. Are there any questions from the floor, please, councillors? Councillor Hyland.
Just a quick one for the engineer, Madam Chair. Just have we got a bit of an update on our few jobs that's going on at Anzac Park at all? I think there's a fair list.
Through your mayor, Anzac Park, Somerset, we have some plantings and other associated coastal erosion works which are currently with Crown for final approval. I presume that's one of the jobs Councillor Hyland's referring to.
Thank you, Mr. Summers. Does that clarify things for you, Councillor Hyland?
There was a couple. One was fairly important with it's a car park, one of those bump stops, and it's been broken off its securing bolts, and it's been floating around for nearly a couple of weeks now. just needs a bit of attention, I think.
Okay, thank you. I'm sure that will be taken on notice. Are there any further questions, please, without notice? Councillor Hyland, number 2.
Yeah, now that Parliament's back in full swing, there's an ongoing planning issue that I would ask if the staff, as soon as applicable, I suppose, can follow up for us. It's in regard to the Machin's subdivision. All the information the Cradle Coast Authority were dealing with was filed, I think, and mailed off to the department at the end of January, I think, if I'm correct, in regard to all that, and it's up to them for a decision now. This thing has just been going on and on and on. If I could just ask that someone sort of just check on it for us, and so I can relay a message back to the Machins. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland.
Through your Mayor, Councillor Hyland is referring to some interim changes to the regional land use strategy, which have been submitted, obviously, to Parliament, whilst the broader review of the regional land use strategy is underway. So perhaps we can coordinate an update for councillors as to that particular project and the status.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford. Okay, so if there are no more questions without notice, Councillor Roberts. Statements are earlier in the... Can you phrase it as a question, please? Okay, thank you. You can bring it to our next council meeting. Thank you. Item 9, reports of officers and committees, community and engagement quarterly report. There is a recommendation before you, councillors. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
So
Councillor
moved.
Roberts.
Seconded.
Councillor Hyland seconded that motion. Councillor Roberts, did you wish to make any comments or open a debate about this motion?
I'll just say the same thing I say every time, Mayor Dunham, and that is that I would highly encourage the public to read these reports. They're quite comprehensive and give a bit of an update in regards to what's going on.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further comments from the floor, please? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.2, Annual Plan Progress Report. There is a recommendation before you, councillors, to note the 2023-24 Annual Plan Progress Report for the period of the 1st of July 2023 to the 30th of March 2024. Could I have a mover for that motion, please? Deputy Mayor Edwards.
Yep.
I'll second that.
And Councillor Johnson, seconded. Deputy Mayor Edwards, would you like to make any comments regarding this report?
No, I'm
no
happy with
comments.
it.
Are there any further comments from the floor? Any clarification required? Okay, it looks like we have no comments, what have you, for this particular motion. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.3, the financial report for the period ended the 31st of March. Council is asked to note this report. Could I have a mover for that motion? Deputy, Councillor Roberts. Seconded, Councillor Raw. Councillor Roberts, did you wish to make any comments?
Just same thing again. Just I'd highly recommend everyone look into the finances of council, and these reports are quite comprehensive. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Roberts. I think we should note there are clear commentaries that explain variances across all financial activities for the period ended 31st of March, which does make it easier reading for all of us to absorb. Are there any further comments regarding this report? Councillor Raw.
Yeah. Can I just ask a clarification question, please? I noticed number 7, the materials and contracts, the unfavourable variance to the budget relates to higher than budgeted expenditure for the management of the waste transfer station and the higher than budgeted green waste and builders waste. So I mean, that's quite a discrepancy. So how will that be rectified or put back into place?
Through you, Mayor. So the unfavourable variances in that area relate to the management contract for the waste transfer station, and as you pointed out, the green waste and also builders waste. The variance for the waste transfer station contract is effectively through council adopting a new contractor to manage the waste transfer station. In terms of the green waste costs, that really relates to timing of green waste or processing or pickups that we have at the transfer station. So, and it's due to timing effectively. We had one in early July that would have normally been scheduled for June last year, so therefore this year has been higher than it normally would be. In terms of how council will manage that variance, really it's offset by a number of other favourable variances across council's budget. Then when we're heading into 24-25 budget year, we'll certainly make allowance for those increased costs, and council's currently working through that process. So.
Thank you for that. Are there any further questions relating to this report, please? Councillor Hyland.
The cash on hand, now that we're getting reasonably close to the end of the year, is that going to be much higher than what we anticipated, or is it sort of going to come out pretty all right?
So at the moment we have just over $10 million cash in the bank at the minute. Currently forecasting to have at year end about $7.5 million, and that's compared to a budget of around $5.5 million. So we are predicting to have slightly higher cash on hand at the 30th of June, and we're well within our requirements around our FMS, which has a target of $5 million. So we'll certainly be well in front of that target.
Thank you for that. Thank you for your question, Councillor Hyland. Are there any further questions regarding this financial report, please? If there are no further questions, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.4, the Senior Management Report. There is a recommendation that Council note the monthly Senior Management Report. Could I have a mover for this motion, please?
So moved.
Councillor Johnson.
Seconded.
Councillor Roberts. Councillor Johnson, did you wish to make any comments?
I'll just piggyback on Councillor Roberts. Once again, a very thorough report on, so very good. Credit to you guys.
Thank you for that. Any further comments or queries from the floor, please?
And just to piggyback on what Councillor Johnson's just said, that the comprehensive, when you look at it, there is a summary of the activities undertaken by the General Manager, and it's really good to see what our GM has been up to, and he leads our council excellently, and it's really good to read about what he does in his day-to-day business. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further comments from the floor, please? Questions? Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 9.5, minutes of other bodies and committees. We haven't received any. We're moving on to item 10. Recommendation is that the Council resolves by an absolute majority that the matters listed below be considered in a closed meeting. Could I have a mover for that motion, please? Councillor Bramich.
Seconded.
Councillor Roberts. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Closure of meeting to the public. That the Council resolves by an absolute majority that going to Council closed meeting to consider the following matters as listed at 6:31. So that's the recommendation. Could I have a mover for that recommendation, please?
I'll
Deputy
move
Mayor
with the
Edwards.
recommendation.
Second that.
And Councillor Bramich, seconded. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously.